What's up, guys? Hello,
Sui here, hoping you're all doing awesome as always, and welcome to my wave dash guide. In this video we're gonna
talk about the legacy Mishima technique that we use to apply a 50-50. How do we do it, how do we practice it, and what is its utility? So
wave dash, outside of looking
super badass, advances on to be a this is an elite Mishima technique. I just dropped it. This is very hard to do. It takes everyone a ton of practice to get down. So this is not something all of you are going to want to do. But those of you who play Devil Jin or Kazuya, I mean, but if you're really serious about Devil Jin and Kazuya, you want to do that. But again, only if you want to get super sweaty and nerdy like me, then you really want to learn this. But otherwise, like, you don't have to do this. But yeah, if you want to go like high level with Kazuya and Devil Jin, you have to.
Okay, pause for a second. Nine, this video's got a ton of inaccuracies, and why am I on the threat of being fired? That's a good question. See, as your AI ghost is you, and you work well under the threat of being fired. At least making progress though, right? Yeah, well, not really, no. You're fired. An absolute travesty, I know. You know what I mean? Deeply unethical. Yeah, and why am I in this? I don't even play this game. I'm sorry, this doesn't concern you, Guilty Gear. Don't you have another 2D fighting game to like underperform in or something? Oh, I'm sorry, what is the name of that rank you're still stuck at with Devil Jin 6 months later? Oh, was it Vanquisher? That actually did hurt my feelings, I'll admit. That was a little far, admittedly, I do apologize. I don't know, actually. Yeah, and the foot thing, I don't believe that. Where did you get that? This is a replay of your command history. And I can tell just by looking at this that you have no idea why the instant wall rising mechanic even works. Yes, I do. It's like a visual cue thing. You gotta like press back before his leg goes 2 forward or something. Okay, yeah, that one's actually not my fault. I don't know why it thinks that. Okay, so when you're getting us to the part where you start showing us how to do the thing. Yeah, I mean, I guess we could skip ahead to the good part. I mean, why watch the entirety of a video I put months of my life into? Wow, that is a lot of footage. How much did you say you spent on this again? I mean, I didn't, but it's safe to assume that R&D isn't getting any budget allocations next quarter. Okay then. For the next part of our conversation, we'll be starting it off by talking about states. What's a state? Hey, I'm so glad you asked that, Sev. States, state transitions, and state cancelling are very big deals when it comes to being able to play well in Tekken. But for the purpose of our conversation, we're going to keep it very surface level and just stick to the nature of cancelling. So what is meant by state? Well, we can describe state as the positional status of the character at any given point in a match. They can be standing, crouching, grounded, airborne, but the information we're interested in knowing the absolute most about is what happens in between the standing and crouching state, the while standing. Because this animation can be cancelled to give you a variety of advantages. One of these advantages being the use of while standing moves instantaneously. Now, I learned how to do instant while standings because I kept running into this problem where I tried to execute a while standing move fast, but instead I'd end up sidestepping because I tapped it down too quickly. So at the very least, if you had the same problem that I did, learning how to do this in the neutral, I guess would be beneficial for that, but it's a very obscure problem to have. But the one place where learning an instant while standing is beneficial as a universal skill is if you're trying to incorporate a while standing input into the middle of a combo, because you don't have a lot of time to work with. But of course, what is a discussion like this one without a practical demonstration? Next, I'm going to show you the combo that I came up with to illustrate my point, as well as to show you how you practically execute an instant while standing. Now, for this demonstration, This is what I'm going to use to denote the back cancel. I figured that these square brackets are fitting because in Tekken lingo they're used to denote buttons that are pressed one after the other instantaneously. So, let's set up the command deck. Introducing the command wheel, real name TBA. It's a little invention spun up by the boys in R&D as a way for players to share combos and edit them without actually needing to know how to do them themselves. Really useful for demonstrations just like this one. Now, just like I described earlier, this combo is absolutely dependent on the instant while standing Huracan. There's simply not enough time after the Inferno to quick step forward, then crouch and then do the Huracan without cancelling it. I'll admit that outside of style points, this scenario isn't really practical, but I do hope it does justice by showing you exactly in what kind of scenarios an instant while standing cancel would be useful. However, as a Mishima player, or specifically a Kazuya main, it's kind of a pretty big deal. But let's focus on Kazuya's wind guard step for a second, because I want to explain why it's so important to know how to do an instant while standing too, because it addresses a problem that is unique to the Kazuya experience. Now, the wind guard step is a very staple move in every Mishima's command list, and the one thing that every Mishima player is going to need to get really good at is chaining these wind guard steps one after the other again and again and again as fast as possible. And this chaining will give you a movement that is colloquially known as the wave dash. A big part of Kazuya's staple strategy is using the wave dash to confuse your opponent. Inconsistent with wave dash speed as well as mixing up your timing, this will leave your opponent open to being confused as they won't know when and where you'll be attacking from. Outside of the wind guard step movement, you have access to a variety of moves depending on which one of the limb buttons that you press. Pressing 1 will give you Thunder Guard Fist, 2 will give you either Wind Guard Fist or Electric Wind Guard Fist, 3 will give you Hell Lancer, 4-4 will give you Elusive Demon, or 4-1 Spinning Demon into left hook. Pressing 1+2 will give you Patricide Fist. And the universal problem with all of these options is that every single one of them can be sidestepped. Therein lies a problem. Your biggest strategy, perhaps your only strategy, has become defeatable with a simple sidestep to the left. Now, you can access some while standing moves out of wind guard step for pausing for just a little bit of time. I don't know what the frame number is, but you should get a feel for the fact that you can pause for a bit and then do it while standing. Only caveat with this is that it only works for the kicks. You can successfully execute an Engetsusen and a Tsunami kick with the buttons 3 and 4 out of a wind guard step successfully by pausing for just a little bit of time. But for some reason, this is just not available to the punchers. If you wait for the same amount of time, you'll still get a Thunder Guard Fist and a Wind Guard Fist with the buttons 1 and 2 respectively. And this is why you have to cancel into it. The down input after the neutral is still a valid cancel, and so you'll cancel into your while standing 2 at this point in time. So to practice this, you're going to perform a series of wave dashes and cancel one of the wind guard steps into an instant while standing 2. And that's it. That's how I practice it. It was a crouch cancel all along. I'm sorry, did you ever get to answering why it is I'm here? I don't know, Seven. It was a long time ago. I just kept doing things, video got very convoluted, and here we are. But, and I'm not saying that I do, but if I did remember, I imagine I would have pulled your ghost to the simulation because I wanted to drive home the point that my ghost learned how to do this move so cleanly, it could teach a ghost that's never played this game before how to do it perfectly. That's actually not a bad idea, actually. So let me make sure that I understand this. To pull off an instant while standing 2, you need to do a wind guard step, and on the down input of the wind guard step, you press back 2. Yes, you do. So why not just say that? What do you mean? Why not just come to us, come to me, and just say you need to press back on the down input of the wind guard step?